Hi, welcome back. This class is dedicated to the runners amongst us. So I've been having a few requests for what we can do if you're a runner. All right, so maybe some of this will help you to release, maybe some of it will help you to prepare. So runners typically get very tight quadriceps, short hamstrings. Anywhere that we're not using the body can get tight. So I'll just go over different poses for the feet. Oftentimes runners get plantar fasciitis, so I already have a video on that, so this will cover some of that. But so for the feet, for the ankles, for the knees, and the hips, and of course some for the back.
Before we get started, if you want to learn the basics of Iyengar yoga,
I've designed a new course, Foundational Iyengar Yoga. This course is for you if you're a beginner, if you've been practicing for a while and you just want to deepen your understanding, or if you're a teacher and you would like to be more inspired, go back to the basics. So it's a 6-week course, 18 different classes, and you'll be able to go through at your own pace.
you can find more details in the description box below.
So first, you're going to take a block and you'll sit back between the heels, and here you're going to feel that lengthening coming through the front of the ankle, stretching the toes back. And here you can just use your knuckles to press into the feet to give yourself a little bit of a massage. All right, so often the sole of the foot gets very tight and you can get pain in your heels. So just use this opportunity while you sit in Virasana, bending the knees, getting that openness through the knees, and release the feet. You can also take a blanket, and if you want a little bit more stretch through those ankles, you can bring the ankles onto the blanket. Like so. So now here I'm lengthening the ankles a little bit more than I was earlier. Bring your hands onto your thighs. Descend the tailbone, descend the hips, and lift up through the trunk. You can bring your arms out in front of you and extend up. As you do that, press the ankles down, the heels down, stretch the toes back, and reach the arms up. So with the arms lifting up, you can put a little bit more weight on your hips, descending down. And then change the cross on your fingers, lengthening out. Inhale, lift up. So if you feel any pain or tension or shortness in that front ankle, just breathe into it and just little bit by little bit, let that pressure of the blanket help to spread and lengthen. All right, bring your hands down. Do one more thing here. So I'll take this green mat and I'm going to roll it up. So to get more to the fronts of the, or to get the knees, the front of the knee stretching, you can roll up your mat and roll it tight so that it will be more firm. If you have a very squishy mat, it's going to be, it won't roll up as nicely as this. So now you're going to come forward and bring that mat behind the knees, but at the top of the calf. So it's not on the calf. I'm pulling it forward. You can even bring your head onto the floor, pull it forward, and then sit back on that. As you sit back on that, you're going to feel the pressure in the calf. So the calf gets very tight. So just allow that weight to come onto the calf. Press your hands down, lift up through the chest. Stretch your toes, and let the ankle move down toward the floor. You could use that blanket again if you needed that blanket, if the ankles were tight. And here you're just allowing yourself to soften the calf, come down so that your hips eventually are able to come down and touch your heels. So that's something good to do when you're just sitting around and you want to bring that awareness to your calves, soften your calves a bit. Okay, now you're going to come onto your toes. Turn the toes under and sit back on your heels. So again, this whole sole of the foot is stretching for runners. If you don't have any kind of problem in the soles of your feet, this will help to keep that at bay. So it's a little bit of prevention also. Extend your arms up and reach up. As you reach up, you can get a little bit of lift through the side trunk, which will then help to take a little bit of that weight off of the toes. So let your hips sit back and feel where the biggest stretch is, and just let it go a little bit. Use your exhalation, let it go, and keep your hands on your hips. You can also take a couple blocks and have the blocks there in case that's just too excruciating. You can lift yourself up a little bit and then start to ease yourself down. You can also sit on that block. So as far as prevention goes, you can start to use this to sit when you're normally going to be sitting for some time. You can always sit with the toes turned under and have that block right on the sitting bone. Okay, so coming out of that now, we're going to do something to lengthen the quadricep. Okay, I'm going to take this blanket. In case you need a blanket, bring your knee onto the blanket. And then you're going to bring your knee in toward the wall. So you'll come onto the front of the knee, bring your shin up, and then you'll take your other leg and bring it forward. You can also have a couple blocks here. So first we're in a lunge position. All right, so I'm coming forward. So the weight is at the front of the knee, so I'm extending that attachment there to the front of the knee, and I'm not directly on the knee. So you don't want to be directly on the knee, so you just come forward. And now, as I lunge forward, I'm lengthening the quadricep, and I'm using this other foot to help me go forward a little bit more. So I can walk it forward, and I can go forward a little bit more. All right, so staying a few breaths. And then from there, you're going to bring your foot back. You can have these blocks. And now you want to get a little bit more length. You can have your foot just to the side. And you want to bring your hips back toward the wall. So pressing into the foot, lifting up through the chest, move the hips back toward the wall, any amount that you can. And then finally, reach your arms up. So I'm pressing with the front foot, and how much you go into this is really dependent on you and your body condition. I'm going to take the foot back a little bit further. So when I'm positioning that foot in a way that I can bring the hips back a little bit further toward the wall, my left hip and my right hip. You can keep your hands on your hips, or you can bring your arms up to get a little bit more lightness and extension. And then you'll breathe into that thigh. Okay, so we'll take the other side now. Stepping the foot forward. Bring that knee back. So don't start out on the blocks. Just bring the knee in close to the wall. Turn the toes under. So you're leaning on the front of the foot. You can have some blocks if you need the blocks. You can have them on the lower height. And lengthen forward. So you're coming into a lunge position, lengthening the fronts of the thighs, releasing the hip down. So just breathe into any tightness that you feel. And now, you want to go a little bit deeper. You can bring the foot back and start to move your hips back using that foot to draw the hip back. So this femur bone moves back toward the wall. And just be conscious that you don't want to keep that hip lifted up. You want to descend the hip. And if you want to move your blocks back, you can have your fingertips on the blocks. So I put the blanket there in case your knee is too sensitive. But now I've taken the blanket away so you don't slide on the blanket, but have the knee close to the wall, and the sticky mat will hold it in place. All right? So now, coming back, bring your hips back to the wall as much as you can. Start to lengthen. Use this front foot to press yourself back, and lift up. Dropping this hip, lifting the other hip up. You can just keep your hands on your hips. Breathe into that. You might feel as much on this leg as you do on this leg. So see what you feel. Bring the tailbone forward, buttock forward, and lift the chest. And then come down. So come out by sliding the knee forward. And then you can take your blanket away. So now, to get a little bit, if that one was too difficult for you, you can take your leg, bring yourself to the wall, and catch hold of the foot. And now here, the same direction. The buttock moves toward the wall, tailbone moves toward the wall, balancing on that foot. Knee is moving down toward the floor, and you're drawing the toes toward that buttock. And then release. Other side. So stay as close to the wall as you can get. Take the leg out to the side, bend it, catch hold of the foot. Have the whole front thigh on that wall, descending the knee. Balance yourself and draw the leg back. So if you need to keep one foot hand at the wall, do that. And just bring the leg back. Drawing the knee down, buttock, middle buttock forward, tailbone forward. And then release. Okay, so we're going to go into one more for the quadriceps. And here, you can either have a couple blankets, or you can have a couple blocks. I'll show you with the blankets first. All right, so you're going to come back into Virasana. Sit back. This time you're sitting on the blankets. And then bring one foot out. Foot is on the floor again. I've added a blanket here for my head, and I have a blanket here in case this knee comes up, which it probably will. So when the quadriceps are tight, we want to get that length. So this is another way here. I want to adjust my pelvis. So I'm moving my hips down, and I'm going to have this blanket here. Have the foot directly behind. It's a Virasana leg. So you're coming down, and you can just lift that leg up. Okay? And when you do that, adjust your pelvis. So you're on the back of the pelvis. When you lift your knee, you're starting to stretch the front of the foot, which is good. So you can just stay there for a few breaths, and then you can start to bring that knee down. Okay? So once you come down completely, actually you should come down with the upper back first, and the pelvis. Adjust yourself. Adjust the pelvis. Keep this foot on the floor, using this foot like we did at the wall, to keep the pelvis level, and then draw that knee down. So I've used one blanket here. It may be that you don't need any blankets, or you maybe need 2 blankets. Okay, so the first thing, you want to get the pelvis level. lengthen. Use this foot on the floor and then extend and lengthen through that thigh. You can extend your arms over your head, hold on to the elbows, and use that to lengthen the side trunk. We won't stay long. Come up. But that's one that you can do, come into, and stay for a little bit longer. The more often you do it, the easier it will get. Okay, so coming down again, changing legs. Have the blanket there again. I'm just going to put it there because I'm going to go back and I know I'm going to need it. So it's going to be right at the top of the shin bone, not just under the knee, but right at the top of the shin bone. And then stretch the one foot back, release the pelvis down. And now I'm going to lift that knee up and get that stretch through the front of the foot. Adjust the blanket. So as the foot is pinned down, I lift the knee and that front ankle is lengthening, and the toes. So to bring that leg down a little bit more, I know I need to move my pelvis a little bit forward. All right, and now I can move that knee down. So you're lengthening using this foot. Now, if you've got that length and you feel like you can go a little bit deeper, then you can extend that leg. Press into the heel. You want to make sure that you stay level on the pelvis. If you're lifted up through one side, then you need a little bit more support on this side. So just be there, lengthen from the back of the sitting bones toward the back of the knee. Front ribs moving down so you're not overarching, and then lengthen the front thigh. Take your arms over, change the cross on your arms. And then release. Coming up, bring your legs into Dandasana. If you need support under your hips, you can take that, sit on a blanket. Right now, we'll just sit in Dandasana for a few breaths, extend the feet, and lift up through the chest. Now, the knees, you want to draw the knees into the socket. So in order to see how you're doing with that, we're going to take a block and sit on the block on the hips and the heels. All right, so I'm moving that block down. Now for people that hyperextend, that means the knee goes too much, you don't want to do this unless you bring something under the knee so that you can press into the knee without it going down too much. For those of you that find it difficult to straighten the legs, come here and let the legs drop down, extend through the calves, lengthen through the Achilles, draw the toes back towards you, draw the kneecap up, and move it down, move the thighs down. So depending on your body and the condition of your knees, if it's difficult for you to straighten your legs, then this is something that's good. Over time, with gravity, the legs move down, the knees move into the backs of the socket. And to give that little bit extra relief to the knees, if you have something that you can press into, then you can press the knees down. So now I can feel that there, and the knees can descend down a little bit more. Lift up through the chest. All right. So, okay, we'll come up now and we'll go into Supta Padangusthasana 1, 2. You can take your blankets away. Have a strap. you're going to adjust your pelvis. You're going to be bringing the leg over to the side. So you want to adjust yourself so that when you bring your leg over, you'll be able to bring it as far down as you need to. So I'm going to come a little bit over and just see. Okay, so I'll use that distance. So now first, adjust the pelvis, extend the leg, and then take the strap on the ball of the foot. Supta Padangusthasana 1. So here you're activating the quadricep and you're lengthening the hamstring. Spread the toes, press the heel up, move your shoulders down. So you're, again, drawing the kneecap up and also into the socket. So you're opening the inner knee and the outer knee. And then you're going to take the leg over. So bringing the leg over, the wall will keep you from lifting up too much, but keep the left side anchored down and bring this leg out to the side. So you can be as close to that wall as you need to. And when the leg hits the wall, you then have that pressure to then bring that weight back onto this side. So depending on your flexibility or your tightness, you can bring the leg a little bit closer, moving this hip away, moving the thigh away, descending the back of the buttock. So this leg is externally rotating, and you're able to extend the calf into that heel. Press out through the heel, draw the toes back towards you. And then inhale, come up, slide the leg up, bring the foot up, and you're going to come down and turn to do the other side. So just turning around. If you didn't have the right distance, this is a good time to adjust yourself. And just know that one hip may be different than the other. One leg may be different than the other. One hamstring. So it's advisable just to retest yourself on this side and see, is that the distance you're going to need? And then bring the leg up, extend through the heel, have your foot on the mat. So place yourself in such a way that your heel will not be on the floor. So you can press that heel down, lift the leg up, tighten the kneecap, open through the back of the knee, extend the calf up toward the heel. And as you lift the kneecap, you're engaging the quadricep and you're lengthening the hamstring. Okay, so we'd like to come to 90 degrees. If 90 degrees is not possible, then you start wherever you can straighten the leg. So straightening the knee, tightening the knee is number one. And then as you're able to go a little bit further, release, lengthen, then you start to go into that 90-degree position. So that may take 1 week, may take 1 month, may take 6 months. So depending on your body and how often you practice, but those hamstrings will start to release if you continually do this in your practice. All right, and then bring the leg over to the side. Again, remembering this hip can lift up when you bring that leg over. So I'm going to pin the arm down, pin the shoulder down, and just open from the pelvic area, from the hip area. So being a runner, you might have tight hips, you might have some imbalance through the lower back. So just allow this kind of movement to help you to address some of those issues. Getting some length to the hamstring, extension through the calf, activating the foot, extend through the heel. Remember, keep the left buttock moving towards your heel. This is an externally rotating leg, so that top of the thigh and the outer hip is moving away from you. And then you'll bring the leg up, come back to that first position, Supta Padangusthasana 1. and release. Okay, we're going to stay on this side. I'm going to bring the leg up again. Extend that leg, and we're going to go over toward the wall with this leg, with the leg that's away from the wall. So you keep this hip pinned down, slide your hand down that strap, bring the elbow onto the floor, and then start to bring that leg over. So it's crossing over the bottom leg, and this hip is moving away, and the leg is extended toward the wall. Keep the bottom foot where the toes are facing upward, and the thigh is rolling down toward the floor. So now I've got the leg at the wall. I'm going to press the ball of the foot, draw this hip back, move this hip away, adjust the shoulders, the chest. So you might feel a stretch here through the outer leg and the buttocks. Just be with that. Stay on your shoulders, on your back evenly. And then bring the leg up, bend that knee, and then we'll come to the other side. So doing this side, your last side, adjust yourself if that wasn't the right distance. Take the outer leg up, keep the leg closer to the wall, extended right through the heel, draw the toes back towards you. This hip is moving away. This outer thigh is moving away. As I bring the leg over, I'm extending and getting some width across the lower back. Just aware of my shoulders, my shoulder blades. Press this hand into the floor, and then you can slide that hand down. And with the arm and the elbow, press more to this side, and then just allow this leg to come over until you could feel the wall. Press into the ball of the foot or press into the heel, lengthening, and just be with whatever you can feel there. So breathe into that. Notice the sensations that you have, where the tightness is. You may even have some pain. Just allow your exhalation to help you relax and stay with it for a few more breaths. And then you'll come up, bring the leg up, bend that knee, and now we'll come into Paripurna. Adjust the hips, bring the knees toward the chest. So your whole lower back is broadening, widening. Your thighs are moving towards your abdomen, so the whole back is spreading. And keep your toes relaxed, so you no longer need to activate the foot, but point the toes away from you. And then we'll come up. So bring your feet back onto the floor and roll onto your side and press yourself up. When you come up, you're going to come into this cross-leg position. So you'll bring your right leg, bend it, bring the foot over, thigh on the floor, and then take the other leg over. And just adjust your hips so that you can feel that you're sitting equally. Adjust the calf. And if you're not able to sit evenly, then you can take a little bit of height. You can take a blanket. You can take a block. So take what you need to be able to sit there. All right, so we're getting a stretch through the knees, we're getting a stretch through the fronts of the feet and into the hips. And then come forward, releasing your head down, making sure that the feet have given you room to descend your hips. If you don't need that blanket, then sit directly on the floor. And then come up, and you'll come into a little bit of a twist. So bring your hand onto that outer leg. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, turn. So opening through the front of the chest, draw that back shoulder back. Feel both hips stable on the floor. Lift your lower back, lift up through the chest. And then as you turn, exhale, turn from the back waist, turning the abdomen. Releasing. Bring your legs back into Dandasana, and then change to do the other side. So the knees are lined up over one another. You're on the sides of the feet. Adjust the hips. And if the calf is quite a developed calf, you might have to release the calf so you can bring the legs over. Okay? And then coming forward, keep the hips down, lengthen the abdomen, and come over any amount that you can. Use your hands to press to keep the hips down. So you're getting a little bit more opening through the hips, the back of the groin, deepening through the front of the groin, and then release the head. If you're quite high already, then don't release the head, just lengthen forward. Use your fingertips. And be with the sensations that you feel in the hips. And then come up, come into a twist, bring your arm on the outer leg, take your other hand back, sit evenly, lift up through the back. Remember, if that back is sinking, you can sit on some height. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, turn. Using your exhalation, deflate the abdomen, deflate that breath through the abdomen and turn. Take for a few more breaths. And then release. Okay, so now you're going to stretch your legs out one more time. Let's come into Dandasana. And then I'd like you to get a chair. Okay, I have a belt here, just handy in case we need it. I put a mat on the chair. If you don't have a sticky mat that's thin, then don't worry about it. You're just going to sit on the mat, and you'll come in and you'll bring your knees, the backs of the knees on that chair rail. All right? And from here, you're going to take your shins back so that you start to open up the fronts of the knees. And keep your chest lifted. So you're not in this rounded position, but you're using the hands on the shin bones and you're lifting up. And come forward more. So you're in a forward bend. You're lengthening through the side trunk, and you're getting that space in the back of the knees. Stretch to the front of the knees. Okay, now you're going to come a little bit further away, and we'll use the chair for the backs of the knees, a little bit like we did earlier with that blanket. You can take the strap on the ball of the foot. Use that to help bring the back body in and straighten the legs. So now you have that support of the bar there, so you know how straight you're bringing the legs. So especially if you're tight in the back, this connection here will help you. If you don't need that strap, you can take your hands on the sides of the feet. But using the hands or the strap, bring that middle part of the back in, straighten the legs, and then press up into the feet. Paripurna Navasana. Navel moves in and up, supporting the lower back is lifting. And then release. Okay, so now you're going to finish off doing something that is going to be relaxing for your legs. So coming down, you can take Savasana so that your legs are getting some relaxation, the backs of the knees, the calves. Adjust your hips so that you're right in the center. Adjust your shoulder blades and just allow yourself to be there. So the shoulders are rolling under, inner arms are turning out, abdomen is descending down, so your whole lower back is flat on the floor. And depending on your length, if you have very long legs, you can build up this height so that either this is a blanket or a bolster. Depends on the size of your chair. So you want it to be so that the legs can rest. And you can then just be there as long as you'd like. So you're completely supported. The feet are relaxed, the ankles, the calves, the knees. And the pelvis is able to feel symmetrical as you allow the thighs to relax and lengthen down right into the hip socket. So the femur bones are weighted down and your lower back is lengthening. If you have tight shoulders, you can have a blanket under your head so that you're not moving back like this. And so if you have a blanket handy, you can take the blanket and just bring it right up to your shoulders. Support the back of the head. Now also, in using the blanket, if you have any kind of neck injury or neck instability, tightness in the shoulders, you can also take that blanket and roll it a little bit so you have a little bit of support for the neck, okay? And then also if you have a straight neck, so that you have that support there, and then you're on the back of the head. So you're still lengthening the head, but you have that a little bit extra support, which feels wonderful if you have any kind of neck or shoulder problem. Okay? So you can stay here as long as you want. And when you're ready to come up, you can come up. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've learned a little bit of what you can do to work on your feet, your ankles, your knees. Knees are really important and they take a lot of pounding when you're running. Make sure you're wearing good shoes, but also make sure that you're getting that lengthening and extension and release you need so that things just don't snap and pop. So the hamstrings, important, quadriceps, all the muscles around the knees and the ankles and the feet. So be prepared, prepare yourself, and also take time after so that you maintain your health. All right? If you'd like to look at some other classes that cover inversions and other things that you could do, which will also be beneficial, take a look, and I hope to see you next time. Namaste.